That is the hardest part of that ring.
For the hardest part of the ring.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the hardest part of the ring.
Hello and welcome to episode 171 of Hardest Part of the Ring, the podcast where 3 or 4 friends get together to celebrate the wonder of professional wrestling. This week there are 3 of us. As the listeners know by now, Brett is a busy boy. So I am Adam and I'm joined by Sam.
Hello.
It's a terrible time to have a swig of your drink.
Yeah, no, I thought I had that. I didn't.
No,
Good start.
you didn't. And John is here.
Hi guys.
Always the pro John. He lubricated his throat before we press record.
You've got to lube your throat up if you're going to be watching Goldust.
Yeah.
Starts with me to go on.
Gargle
Yeah.
a bit of KY.
So, last week we did a pod. We've done back-to-back weeks, first time in ages. Last week, John was
Hello.
captain of the ship. He presented us an episode of Follow the Feud, the 4th instalment of Daniel Bryan versus The Authority, which is well worth a listen. We'll get on to what we're talking about today very shortly, but very quickly, Elimination Chamber happened. Which was really weird because I got a text from Pip and it said, Elimination Chamber was 2 hours 48. I was like, what do you mean? You're telling me this at like 5 o'clock on a Saturday. And he just watched it. It was on at a weird time. John, you still refuse to watch any Saudi content?
Yeah, just can't do it. And to be fair, I don't feel strongly enough. Like if people do want to watch it, up to them. It's just not for me.
But you feel so strongly about it that you don't if somebody said to you, oh, here's a Saudi film that was made with subtitles, it's fantastic, you'd refuse to watch that. You wouldn't listen to Saudi music. You don't mix with people from that kind of area of the world.
Wait, hold on, what are we saying?
What the hell? Where is this coming from? I thought I closed that blog down ages ago.
Deary me. But Sam, I mean, we weren't going to talk about this because I assume you hadn't watched it, but it turns out you did. Or did you just watch the main event?
No, I've actually watched the whole thing. It turns out there was only like an hour of wrestling in the whole 2 hours, 15
I heard
minutes.
it's very short.
Yeah, so I just watched all the matches and just skipped all the guff.
Okay, and thoughts? Anything worth watching?
The men's Elimination Chamber match is an interesting Elimination Chamber match.
Yeah.
I think kind of Austin Theory comes out of it looking like $1 million.
Really?
And man, are they... I mean, obviously they'd already strapped a rocket to Brock, but what a way of basically making the rest of your card look like the mid-card.
I was going to say, what's the opposite of strapping a rocket to somebody? Because that's
Right.
what's the guy's name who was champion? I've forgotten him already.
Bobby Lashley.
Bobby Lashley. I was going to say Bobby Lesnar.
The opposite of strapping a rocket to them is putting them in a feud with Sheamus, I guess. But
I mean, he was actually legitimately injured. But yeah, the way the match played out, I was like, what? This is rough on him. But
Was he injured during the match, or was it at Rumble?
That's kayfabe, yes.
kayfabe, he was injured in the match. Reality, he was injured by Brock Lesnar chucking him on his head and shoulder a bunch of times.
That's mental that you'd go even be in that match if you're injured, right? Why?
I think...
Yeah, he stood in a pod, an Elimination Chamber pod, for however long, 15 minutes, and then got injured as somebody was smashed through the pod. So he didn't actually wrestle.
I mean, they actually do a decentish job with this. They have Bobby Lashley seem as if he's got a head injury.
Yeah, that's the headline I saw, that he was getting the old percussion protocols.
They roll with it, and it's pretty good. And as much as I don't
Did you say percussion protocols? Because is that where they bring out like a triangle, some bongos?
Oh god, they blatantly did say percussion, didn't they?
Sorry, Sam.
No, if there's a percussion protocol dictates that we've got to talk about the drums. For as much as I don't like squash matches, and to be honest, this was essentially a glorified squash match, Brock looks amazing in this match. He just kills everyone, and he's like the Terminator.
I saw a rumour that him busting out of his own pod was him on the day. That was not pre-planned.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. And again, it just helps to serve how strong he looked in this match.
It looked cool as fuck. Yeah, I think if you can put all your morals aside and you already have the network, or have means of watching stuff on the internet, which I'm sure you do, then it is worth a little look. And I mean, well, no, let's not even bother going on to other stuff, because the whole point of The Undertaking, right, is that when this is finally finished in 2038, people will be able to go back and listen to each of these volumes, and hopefully they'll be seamless. They won't even know that time has passed in between. And by obviously talking about stuff, it dates it. But I also think that'll be quite fun for people to listen to. But yeah, we don't need to talk about any more Elimination Chamber, do we, Sam?
No, we're done with Elimination Chamber.
Okay, in that case, let's get on to what we're here to do, because this is The Undertaking. Volume 11. So what is The Undertaking? Well, for the 11th time, Sam is going to tell you. If you do listen to them back to back, you'll probably skip this bit. But Sam, go ahead.
The Undertaking is a retrospective review of the pay-per-view events The Undertaker has participated in. It follows his career from 1990 to 2020, and hopefully not beyond 2020, and provides a snapshot of the wrestling landscape at the time. Previously on The Undertaking, the dead man would compete with the fable of Mabel, the threat of Brett, and in the end, the weasel known as Diesel. And if you want to go back and revisit three cool dudes talking about a 600-pound man, you need only look as far as episode 163.
Was Brett not on that one either?
No.
Also, I feel like that's pretty much every Undertaking pod where we go on about how great some 600-pound wrestler looks.
Yeah.
We are not kind to Mabel in that episode.
Oh, we're not.
Well, he doesn't live up to the Yokozunas and Giant Gonzalez's of the world. But today, we move on, as Taker himself would be looking to exact revenge on Big Daddy Cool. Match 25, The Undertaker versus Diesel at WrestleMania 12 at Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim, California.
Welcome everyone to Anaheim, California! Welcome to the Anaheim Pond, and welcome to the greatest spectacle in sports entertainment in the world today, WrestleMania!
Arrowhead Pond. Is that what the venue's called? Arrowhead Pond.
Yep. I've not done any further research on that. I quite like it as a
bonkers name.
Yeah.
Quick Google that.
Did anyone else watch the start? When we do these, do you watch like the start of the pay-per-view? Because Vince, as the listeners will have just heard, sounded like he was dying when he was introducing this. I was like, who the hell is that? And why are they choking? And then it was Vince.
Classic McMahon.
Yeah. Also, crazy card. Like, I had absolutely no idea.
Good card, right? It looks amazing, the card.
I had no idea that there was a card, a WrestleMania card, that had the Ultimate Warrior and Stone Cold Steve Austin on it.
Yeah, this must be Stone Cold's first WrestleMania. Like, 'cause I watched that match because he comes out with the $1 Million Man. He doesn't have his own music. He's got the $1 Million belt.
I watched the Ultimate Warrior match because, I still love him.
Against Triple H.
Yeah, against Triple H, and it was basically a squash.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, of course.
Warrior wins in about 2 minutes.
1
This
minute
was
39,
incredibly interesting because Ultimate Warrior's return to WWE at this time, or WWF, was hyped up and huge as kind of like we're getting one of the big boys back in town, especially after kind of recent defections to WCW. And he was booked in a program with Jerry the King Lawler, and it was panned as one of the worst kind of feuds that WWF have ever done, and that's saying
that's
something.
a strong list as well. Yeah, good lord.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts out with like Ultimate Warrior's big return. He comes out wearing a T-shirt with pictures of muscles drawn on it, rather than
isn't that Giant Gonzalez?
Well, it's very similar to Giant Gonzalez, and a hat, and it's all a bit of a mess. I remember this from, funnily enough, a smear documentary of WWF's called The Ultimate Destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
I still haven't seen that, but I've heard it's just WWF just going full in on
Warrior. Weirdly enough, I own that on PSP along with the Chris Benoit documentary.
You bought it on PSP
back in the day.
Good Lord.
But
Wow.
I digress.
Anyway, these two huge men.
So, yeah, it's a big card, WrestleMania 12. Far better than I thought it would be. And
Yeah, it's not a bit of WrestleMania that I've necessarily heard a lot of. Like, you don't hear people mention this WrestleMania necessarily, right?
I mean, the thing is that this WrestleMania, I think, is famous for Brett versus Shawn the Iron Man match. And that's
I was so tempted to watch that, but I was like, I'm here to do the Undertaking. I'm going to record some clips. Have I got an hour in me?
At some point, we'll probably do a Follow the Feud on Brett versus Shawn, won't we, John?
Oh, that's a good shout. That is a good shout.
And that will take us up to 2050.
I don't think I've got a clip of that feud in the Follow the Feud music, so we can't have that, I'm afraid.
No,
Okay, sorry, Adam. A couple of weeks after the Royal Rumble, Undertaker would be granted a second title shot on Raw. And once again, Diesel would interfere, laying The Undertaker out of a steel chair and a huge jackknife powerbomb.
That powerbomb, like, we're getting to it. Actually, I'll leave it to the match.
Ooh, teasing.
The week after, at Madison Square Garden, Brett would defend his WWF title against Diesel in a steel cage match at one of WWF's many live events at the time.
Nice.
And just when it looked like Diesel would escape through the door, guess who literally pops out of the bottom of the ring through the canvas?
The Mountie?
It was almost going to be the Mountie. It's The Undertaker. He literally, hand comes out through the bottom of the ring, grabs Kevin Nash, and drags him under the ring straight to hell. Smoke starts to appear. And meanwhile, during all of this, Bret Hart just kind of climbs out the cage and wins the match. Yeah,
That's weird. Undertaker's hand is going to play a big part in this podcast.
it really is. But yeah, Diesel was understandably a little bit pissed off about this. And so the night after on Raw, The Undertaker was just in a match with Tatanka, accompanied by Ted DiBiase.
Tatanka was? Or Undertaker was?
Tatanka was.
Oh.
Yeah, right. And, you know, he's just going through the match, doing his random stuff, when all of a sudden Diesel comes to the ring armed with an axe. And it's like, wow, this feud is really kicking off. But then he grabs a cameraman and kind of gently leads him to the back. And so the cameraman is recording what's going on, where Diesel then proceeds to locate the Undertaker's casket, which Jerry the King Lawler at this point says, oh, that's the Undertaker's home. Which is a piece of lore that we were not privy to at this point in time.
It's like
Is
the
it like a
TARDIS.
TARDIS?
Maybe. And sure enough, Diesel does what men with axes do. He destroys the casket. He absolutely smashes it to pieces. And so Taker cleans up with Tatanka, does him in, and then goes to the back, only for Paul Bearer to throw a fit that the Undertaker's home, or as Paul Bearer literally says, our home has been destroyed. So
They sleep in there together.
maybe?
Can I just clarify
Top and
one
tailing.
quick point? I know we're switching between casket and casket as we go throughout this podcast, just to keep it fresh. But what's the difference between a casket and a coffin?
I don't think there is any.
I'll Google that.
Thank
You guys film.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Top. 1 week later on Raw, after Diesel's match with Sparkplug Bob Holly, The Undertaker would literally teleport into the ring. The lights would go
Ooh.
out.
Sorry, I've Googled it.
No,
So,
go
and,
for it.
And the answer is fascinating enough for me to interrupt you. Unlike
Please.
caskets, coffins have 6 sides to them instead of 4.
That is a great fact.
That is, isn't it? So
Wow.
the casket is just basically a
Oh,
rectangle.
rectangle, gotcha.
And then the coffin is that classic sort of coffin shape that
Like that
fits,
the irregular
fits a
pentagon.
human. Yeah, fits a human, broad shoulders and thin legs. Coffins are
Wow.
way better.
Amazing. That's some top facts. Good work.
So are we throwing shade at Undertaker for not building coffins because they're harder?
Yeah, his carpentry skills. Well, we saw, didn't we, in an early episode of The Undertaking?
yeah.
He's very good with a lathe, but maybe not so good.
As we'll see
hammer
later
and
on in
nails.
this episode, his kind of metalwork skill, not that bad.
Not that good either, but yes.
Well, better than anything we could build.
Yeah, but I mean the hinges broke off.
Okay, yeah,
we'll
fair
get to
point.
that.
Yeah, 1 week later on Raw, The Undertaker would literally teleport into the ring after Diesel had a match with Bob Holly, right?
So much crazy shit happening.
I know, it's a mad match. It's so crazy that one of your soundboards literally just fell off. Wow.
It's the Undertaker's ghost.
Listeners, one of my sponge foam sound things has just fallen off the wall behind me. I said so much crazy shit is happening, and that's just happened. Unbelievable.
There's a lot
A
of
glove
stuff.
has appeared from my floor.
Cool. So Diesel was basically working his way up the ramp, right? The lights dip. They come back on. The Undertaker is in the ring. Do you know what? This isn't even the craziest part of this feud. The Undertaker is in the ring, and Diesel, Big Daddy Cool, turns around. He ain't afraid of no ghost. He decides to go back to the ring.
No.
Yeah. Lights dip. Undertaker teleports again. This time he's on the TV screen. And he basically is just like, we're going to have a match at WrestleMania, which feels like kind of a bit of a letdown after all this teleporting, right?
Yeah.
Diesel is pissed at this. Diesel is mad. So do you know what he does the next week on Raw?
What?
He does what any sane man would do, and he attacks Paul Bearer.
I mean, you would. Like, he's not fast, is he, Paul Bearer?
No, I mean, you go...
He's probably at the buffet table, right?
Right. During this match, by the way, Undertaker is teaming with Yokozuna.
Oh, what a tag team.
Right? Putting aside their differences. Yoko having turned face at this point. But, Undertaker abandons Yoko to chase after Paul Bearer's assailant. And now, 1 week before WrestleMania, there's still one last twist in the tail. As Diesel is in a matchup, Paul Bearer wheels a casket, or coffin, I think it's a casket, to the ring. And do you guys want to have a guess at what's inside the casket?
Oh, I think I know the answer to this.
Go for it.
Go on.
It's fake Diesel, right?
There is a fake Diesel impersonator,
Okay.
a dead fake Diesel in the casket.
And does it look any good?
It
Yes,
does.
it
does look
looks
like Diesel.
exactly like Kevin Nash. Surely we will never see another fake Diesel again.
Well, I was thinking, but it can't be the same fake Diesel.
I'm not sure. I should have looked into that, but I think it's a really bold power move to always have a fake wrestler. And I think kind of having a fake dead version of yourself in a coffin is very good mind games from The Undertaker.
Because I thought fake Diesel was Kane. Am I wrong?
Oh, it might have actually been. Maybe it was Kane in the coffin. I don't think it was though.
Yeah, I don't think it was him in the coffin, but fake Diesel was Kane.
Can you imagine getting to the point in your life where you're writing an autobiography and you've got to write not about one fake impersonator, but 2 people who have pretended to be you in your life? How wild that is. Anyway, long story short, The Undertaker knows that he's going to let Big Daddy Cool rest in peace. And we go to WrestleMania.
Well, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, rest in pieces. Farewell, The Undertaker, being planted down the street in Forest Lawn. Yeah.
From Death Valley, weighing 328 pounds, The Undertaker.
Wow, look at that face, McMahon.
So there is a lot of build-up to this match. A lot of, as the commentary keep putting it, mind games.
Oh, did you watch the interview Mr. Perfect does with Diesel backstage about mind games?
No.
Oh, my
should've.
God. Basically, Mr. Perfect is not a very good interviewer and just says mind games almost like 20 times, and there's always trying to get in your mind to play mind games with your mind. Oh, it's awful.
Mr. Perfect is a really bad commentator. There's a lot of things he's perfect at.
Yeah, not speaking.
Commentating and alcohol sobriety were 2 of them. Anyway,
Good.
Diesel saunters to the ring.
Saunters has never been used better when Diesel's walking. He has a confidence like I envy so much, just the way he walks. Just
Confidence of a 7-foot man, I guess.
7 foot, and
He's so cool. Am I right in thinking
so
that you have a
sexy
bit
as
of,
well?
Yeah, you
He
have a
is
bit of a crush on him,
really
don't you, John?
sexy.
He
It's like
is a-
about he is a beautiful man at
And his-
this time.
And his
Definitely.
nickname's Big Daddy Cool.
I mean, in WCW, he's big sexy.
So there you go.
Just
He's got it all. He's really got it all.
Kevin Nash, we love you.
He is everything I am not.
He really is, actually.
Yeah. I am the yin to his yang.
So yeah, Diesel is not afraid, and the Undertaker makes his entrance, fairly standard for the Undertaker. Just lights go out, we all have a 15-minute break, and then the Undertaker makes it to the ring.
Yeah.
Nice, standard. And then they don't even wait for the bell. This is a hot start. Diesel and Taker go for each other.
And fast as well. Like the beginning of this match is really fast for these two massive guys.
Yeah, it was nice to have some part of the match be fast.
Yes,
because
I mean, they don't keep that up throughout.
it then fucking slows down for ages.
This match has a real hot start to it, and I think kind of it's fantastic because it really sells it being a WrestleMania match. It feels big time, this. Diesel lands a huge Irish whip. Taker throws himself into the corner like nothing else, only to strike back with a big boot, clothesline, elbow drop, sit-up combo. Real nice. Fight spills out to the outside, and Undertaker starts doing a few MMA punches. A few gut punches here and there.
Yeah, it look quite good. Like big guys. Like I mean, well, I say it looked quite good. Like 3 of the 4 punches look good. I think the last one they did barely connected,
Yeah.
but it just looks cool having people that big.
Better than Shane
Punching each other.
McMahon's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Always, yeah.
Low bar, but cracks Diesel's head into the stairs.
Nasty.
Lands a crossbody, which doesn't feel like it's in Undertaker's repertoire, but there we go. Goes old school, back out of the ring, goes to crack Diesel round the head with a chair. Bold move, considering the ref is standing right there watching.
Yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah.
But he misses. Diesel dodges. And thus starts the slow rise of Kevin Nash as, yeah, the next 10 minutes of this match are done at a cool pace, is what I would say.
Look at this. Diesel taunting The Undertaker. Who have you ever seen had the ability to taunt The Undertaker? I told you Diesel wasn't afraid of him. Ooh, look at that. And thus far has shown no fear whatsoever.
Yeah, it kind of changes at where they both hit the double boot, right? Which I've never
Yeah.
seen but that spot before, actually, where both
It's pretty great. They
wrestlers go
both
for the double boot.
bounce off the ropes. They're coming back at each other. They land the big boot. And
Yeah.
both of them do it. And it looks really good. They absolutely nail it.
It does look legit cool.
But yeah, then Diesel takes his turn at dominating, and
Diesel
that's it. It's very slow.
locks in a bear hug.
Yes, we last pod we were talking about bear hugs.
It was, yeah. And I'm going to continue my campaign of the bear hug is the worst move in wrestling.
Well, the worst thing about this is that I was quite excited when I saw a bear hug after I was talking about it last week on Follow the Feud, because I was like, well, this one's kind of a bit better because it's a genuinely big guy lifting up another genuinely big guy, which it kind of looks quite impressive. But then Undertaker drops, so they're both standing, and then it is literally just a one-sided cuddle.
I mean, I can see the jealousy in John's face at a one-sided cuddle from Kevin Nash.
It enveloped me. It'd be lovely.
Big, strong
He'd crush
arms.
you.
Yeah.
You'd be dead. But yeah, it was. It didn't look good, and it lasted a long
A
time.
long time. This stretch does go on for a
Diesel
while.
turns the bear hug into a headlock, which is what everyone wanted to see.
Those slick mat skills.
Yeah. Eventually, Taker suplexes Diesel. Lands a pretty sweet top rope clothesline. It's like the momentum's back in Taker's court again until Diesel lands the jackknife powerbomb.
So, the jackknife powerbomb. 1, it looks amazing. 2, it looks so dangerous.
I was going to say.
It just gets them under the powerbomb and then literally just throws them across the ring. Like, there's no looking after your fellow competitor in that situation.
The jackknife powerbomb is the perfect finisher for Kevin Nash because he's too cool to finish the powerbomb.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it? That I'm done with this now.
So good.
Well, we haven't seen Taker being chucked across the ring like that either yet.
No.
So to see him like getting that kind of air, we see him get that air when he does his leaping clotheslines. But
sure.
To be thrown by somebody else was pretty cool.
I think it's really impressive. It proper made me pop when I saw Nash set it up and I was like, he's not going to land this. Diesel is not going to power. He bloody does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's even more impressive considering what happens with the tombstone at the end of the match.
Right.
We should reference that all the while the crowd is pretty flat.
Oh, do you think? I think the crowd are kind of...
Well, they're quite into it at the start because you're sort of getting, they're not sure who to cheer, and then Kevin Nash starts getting some boos. But I did think, well, maybe it was just after the bear hug actually, so not relating to the jackknife. But I had a note here that it was the crowd was flat.
I saw them. They were trying to get a Mexican wave going at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not a good sign.
The crowd are really turning on Diesel at this point. And Diesel, he's eating it up. He's lifting his hand. He's just sauntering around the ring. He doesn't cover. And then Taker does his old sit-up.
He does.
And Diesel responds.
And then that happens again, right? Another jackknife. Another
Diesel
sit-up.
responds with a second jackknife powerbomb. And they just do the whole
Same
thing
again.
all again.
Yeah. I quite like it.
I
Cocky
love it. I'm really into this
Diesel.
match. I really like the storyline here of Diesel could have won this match if he wanted to, but he didn't. He leaves it too long, and he goes to eventually pin The Undertaker, and The Undertaker starts choking Diesel, and he works his way back up to a standing base, only for Diesel to counter with a suplex, but Diesel is spent. He's gassed.
I mean, he was gassed about 5-10 minutes ago, I reckon.
Yeah, true. Taker sits up before Diesel's even recovered from his suplex that he landed. So it's looking bad news for Kevin Nash. And a huge, big clothesline with huge speed from Taker.
So good. It's one of my favourite spots. Every match that he does
Smashes the ropes.
They're just this pace that he gets, and like how stretchy the ropes go.
Right.
The ropes almost go out. He almost touches his back against the person in the front row. It's mad.
Undertaker lands the choke slam, lands the tombstone. 1, 2, 3. This match is done.
Diesel, it's time to tuck your tail and run. The Undertaker, live to fight another day. Sensing the power, scoops up Big Daddy Cool. No! Sets him up. No! With a tombstone. No! Oh! Is that enough to put him away? Can Diesel be put away too? Yes! 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 I can't believe it, McMahon.
Really rough looking chokeslam though.
It wasn't the best, but Kevin Nash is a 7-foot man.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
I mean, what do you guys think overall of this match?
A fun match, I think. Like, it definitely started really well. There obviously it didn't maintain that pace throughout, but I enjoyed this. It was definitely fun.
Yeah, it was all right. There were just very slow bits when we the lead up to the bear hug, and then the bear hug was a real low point.
Taker looked impressive throughout though, right? Like I think he actually maintained the pace quite well.
I guess the only way of finding out what we really feel about the match and Taker's performance is to rank each one out of 5. Do you think so?
That would be good. Let's go to the scores. John?
Oh, so I'm going to give the match 2.5. I'm going to give Taker a 3.
Solid.
Incredible. We are incredibly in sync. I was going to, for a second then, I was going to say we are Justin Timberlake and I couldn't think of another member of NSYNC.
No, me neither. Mine's
Can you?
blanking.
I bet you can, John. Who's the guy? Joe Fatone. Anyway, there you go, guys.
There we
That's a joke that I couldn't quite work out in time and then over-explained. But we are in sync because I totally agree. 2.5 for the match, 3 for Taker.
You guys are going to think I'm bonkers here.
Oh, here we go.
I'm giving
It's going to be a 1 or a 5.
I'm giving 4 for the match. I really like this match a lot. I love this match. And I'm giving it 3.5 for the Taker.
Blimey. Okay.
So that means the average is the match gets a 3 and Taker gets an average of 3.1666667.
A fantastic result. Our highest scoring Undertaker match since Giant Gonzalez.
Fucking hell.
Oh man, we're going to regret that match at one point, aren't we? Like,
We've really set a rod for our own backs with that one. What can we say? An iconic match is an iconic match. Following on from this, the feud with Diesel would be over and Diesel would not go on to do anything of any important note within the wrestling community until he would eventually retire.
Because this is 96. When did he go to WCW? Does anyone know?
I think it's late 96, early 97.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Diesel, Kevin Nash would go on to basically revolutionise wrestling alongside Scott Hall and Hulk Hogan as part of the NWO. Everyone already knows that. You're listening to a wrestling podcast. This is teaching grandma how to suck eggs. But we move on to my favourite part of the show. Because it's now time for an Undertaking fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker fact.
All right, this is the 11th fact, and I'm not going to say facts are getting thin on the ground because I've got hundreds more to try and find, and that will be absolutely fine. This one, pretty straightforward, but still interesting, I believe. The Undertaker has had 8 different ring names.
Ooh.
Debuted as the Master of Pain.
Can we try and guess the rest
Texas
of them?
Red. It's not a quiz.
Texas Red was the one I knew.
I'm pretty sure we've done... Well, I had this as part of the last quiz. Do you remember when I named 3 of his...
Punisher, Dice Morgan?
Yeah.
Mean Mark Callis?
Mark Callis, yeah.
How many is that? 4?
Yeah.
Is
Biker
the American
Taker?
Badass one? No. I'll read them out in order. So we had the Master of Pain, Texas Red, the Punisher, Punisher Dice Morgan, Commando, Mean Mark Callis, Kane the Undertaker, before finally just the Undertaker.
Did you say Meat Market Callis?
Mean Mark Callis.
Oh, right. See, that makes more sense.
Did you say Meat Market?
8 ring names. Maybe we'll get a 9th when he tips up on AEW in a few weeks.
Ooh. Also, I wonder whether we're going to get the whole difference between a casket and a coffin fact in a few episodes' time.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I should have just saved that. I should have said I couldn't find out and put it in my Google Doc. Anyway, that is this episode's Undertaker fact.
You want to hear an interesting
Undertaker fact.
Match 26. And ever since we have started The Undertaking, there has been one person I have been looking forward to reviewing the matches of more than anyone. And a lot of people would say, oh, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold, The Rock. No. None of that.
I mean, this guy, he's a hardest part of the ring legend. Like, if we did hardest part of the ring Hall of Fame, Goldust would potentially be one of the very first picks. And we, as a podcast, have never reviewed one of his matches. Is that right? Unless we did in the old days.
Dustin Rhodes versus Cody Rhodes match.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, that doesn't count because it's not Goldust.
Oh, okay. Good point.
Your love is for Goldust. I know you love Dustin Rhodes.
Maybe not.
But yeah, I don't think we have, unless we did a rewind when we...
Maybe.
Back in the day. I mean, the chances are we've done loads of them and we've just forgotten. But I just think I was very excited to do this. Anyway, what is the match?
Match 26. It is a casket match. Not a coffin match. I don't know. Maybe it was a coffin.
Definitely not a coffin.
Definitely a casket.
Definitely a casket.
The Undertaker versus Goldust at WWF In Your House 8, Beware of Dog 2. A strange name I will get to.
Oh my word. The name drove me insane throughout this entire watching this.
Taking place from the North Charleston Coliseum in South Carolina. Following WrestleMania, The Undertaker would main event the next day's Raw, only to be laid out by a mysterious assailant. He would take the month off to recuperate, and during all of this, a little-known wrestler, Dustin Rhodes, would be making waves in WWF with his timeless, iconic, legendary, groundbreaking, trailblazing character, Goldust.
Oh, so was Goldust quite a new gimmick at this point then?
Relatively new. He'd been around for a little bit, but he was getting booked strong. He was the Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah.
And
I mean, earlier on, there was a clip earlier on in this pay-per-view of him giving mouth-to-mouth to Ahmed Johnson.
Yeah, one of the scariest motherfuckers in the world.
That was, interesting. Pushing buttons. Provocative. People like to see.
It's very difficult to talk about Goldust without acknowledging the big elephant in the room, which is that the mid-1990s were not a kind place for gay people, or basically anyone of any kind of level of, I suppose, I don't know, how would you put it? Bizarreness, as they say a bunch of times, but that's not the right word. That's certainly not the right word.
Or anyone who's different from the norm.
Yeah. Basically, anything that was sexually ambiguous in any way, shape or form was bizarre and offensive and gross and weird, according to Jerry the King Lawler, who has certainly not turned out to be on the right side of history when it comes to commentary.
Or T-shirts.
But yeah, Goldust, I mean, I don't know what to say other than just the fact that he's a groundbreaking character. Like, obviously legendary son of Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
He would basically be one of what I would say is the pillars of the Attitude Era, kind of embodying the more kind of... No? Not having
pillar
it?
of the Attitude Era.
I'm having it.
A little bit of a stretch.
I'm owning pillar of the Attitude Era because he
how many pillars are there? How many pillars do you need to hold up the Attitude Era?
He would be the fifth pillar.
The fifth pillar.
Stone Cold, The Rock, Triple H...
Shawn Michaels, maybe. Shawn
Michaels and Goldust both holding up one of the corners of this house.
New Age Outlaws.
I almost feel like Vince deserves to be a pillar ahead of Goldust.
I mean, say what you will, Goldust has a very special place in my heart and is an absolute legend.
And in every quiz that you do.
And in every quiz that I'll ever do from today onwards and in the past as well. Anyway... Goldust was the Intercontinental Champion and he was booked pretty strong.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, for Monday Night Raw. And joining us here in the ringside area, Marlena, along with Goldust. And we have been given a note, ladies and gentlemen, during the break. That stipulation we all have... All right, knock it off. That stipulation we have all been awaiting. It's going to be Goldust against The Undertaker in a casket match.
What are you talking about?
That's exactly right. The stipulation.
What is this, Marlena? What?
It's going to be a casket.
What is this? No. I'm not doing a casket match.
Yes,
you must think I've got this.
Hey, wait a minute.
So was that Goldust? Was that the other person? So it's Vince.
Yeah. So that's Goldust coming out to do a bit of commentary. He's accompanied by Marlena, his valet, Terry Runnels,
and ex-wife,
smoking a huge Cuban cigar as well. Which is a cool gimmick, to be honest. I know smoking's not meant to be cool, but she made it look cool.
She did make it look cool.
And yeah, Goldust is kind of this obviously sexually ambiguous movie star character who comes out to commentary, puts on a pair of gold headphones, and then starts stroking Vince McMahon and getting right up in his face. And it's incredibly funny. That's the knock it off you hear from Vince McMahon in that clip.
Can I just bring it back to cigars? Have you guys ever smoked cigars?
Yeah.
They're fucking gross, right?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them.
No.
And they go soggy at the end.
Yeah. My dad, for the best part of 40 years, smoked cigars. He's quit now, but...
Doesn't he listen to the pod?
Well, yeah, he does.
Cool as fuck smoking cigars.
I thought my dad was cool as fuck smoking cigars. I wish you would start smoking again, Dad.
I remember we bought a pack of them at our leavers ball when we were like 16.
Oh, we used to do this at uni all the time as well. Yeah.
Wearing our bow ties, trying to smoke and inhaling it, and then just coughing up both of our lungs.
Trouble is,
disgusting.
I think like keeping it in your mouth is worse. It's Like,
well, yeah.
that's the
I just
worst.
don't
That's
get
the last
it.
place I want to keep all that horrible smoke.
It just hurts. Yeah, it tastes disgusting.
None of us are smokers at hardest part of the ring, are we?
You used to be, didn't you?
I'm a former smoker.
Oh, I'm definitely a former smoker.
Used to go out and have a rollie pretty regularly at work, I remember.
Yeah, but that was just to get out of work.
Yeah, that's true. And I've seen John smoke.
Okay. But you're not a smoker, are you, Adam?
Never.
Smokers are jokers.
No, anyway, fuck it. I've derailed us to talk about smoking. Smoking is not cool, listener. If you are on the fence as to whether or not you should start smoking, then hopefully this conversation has convinced you otherwise, because it's not cool.
You end
Unless
up
you
a
are
middle-aged man with a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, unless you are a big fake-breasted wife of a transvestite. Is that right?
Oh, I don't know about transvestite.
I don't know. Maybe? Kind of?
I think back in the day, at that era, Goldust was referred to as a transvestite, right?
I don't think they ever actually say the word transvestite, although there are a lot of allusions and references to it, including references to the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So,
Okay, all right.
you know, there's definitely undertones and overtones of it. It's very blatant.
No, that's just got me thinking that you don't hear the word transvestite very often this day. Obviously, you hear trans, but you don't hear that full phrase. But I've already thrown us off course too many times. So,
following the revelation that Goldust would be partaking in a casket match, he would go on to commentate on Undertaker's match on Raw for a little bit until he decided to try it on with Paul Bearer.
Ooh, risky.
wow,
Yeah, bold move. Paul Bearer freaks out, screams, and runs off to the back.
Oh, so it would be great to see Paul Bearer really lean into it, right, and to see if Goldust would break first.
Goldust was not going to break for no man. He was going for it. Paul Bearer freaks out, runs off to the back, but runs off with the urn, which of course is the mystical source of all of Undertaker's power.
Of course.
But Undertaker still sees out the match and everything's absolutely fine, so really it had no effect whatsoever. And Paul Bearer returns after the match with a gold coffin.
Casket.
Whatever. Goldust freaks out and runs away from seeing a casket.
And obviously we get to see this gold coffin when we get to this match.
Yes.
I like it. There's a lot of gold spray paint has been used. As a man who has used gold spray paint to make the hardest part of the ring quiz trophy for the live show, it's very satisfying spraying things gold.
Oh, really? Did you feel like an alchemist?
It does. I sprayed quite a few other things gold, and then that spray
Weirdly
paint
ambiguous,
can run
that,
out.
wasn't it?
It's a strange thing to say. You wouldn't have had to spray paint it all gold if you had just bought exclusively Goldust figures. Leading
Very
up
true.
to the match itself, Goldust would continue to antagonise The Undertaker leading up to In Your House 8, including this little beauty.
Take a look. Marlena, along with Goldust.
Yeah, come on, Frankenstein. Let's hear what you got to say now. He's speechless.
The temerity. All right, this is what this interview is going to be over. Behold, the pale horse, and the man who sat upon him was death, and I followed him. Tombstone, 1993.
That's a great movie.
Look at you, dead man. So tall. Ooh. So dark. So clammy and so stiff. That scent. It's driving me crazy. What is that? What kind of cologne is that? Is that embalming fluid number 5?
This is great.
Well, you know something? That coffin right there. You can lay me in it any time, because you know what? There will be no resting once we're in. No, there won't. I've never danced with the devil in the pale moonlight, but I'll try anything once.
Whoa. Oh. Here we go.
Let me just feel you. Touch you, Reaper.
Got big
Do
hands.
you know what rigor mortis is? Look at me, dead man. It's a stiffening of the muscle. Oh!
No!
And you tell me Goldust is not a pillar of the Attitude Era.
The
That was
embalming fluid
fantastic.
number 5, very funny.
That promo is incredible. The movie references, all
Yeah.
of the stiff dead man jokes, laying in the coffin, just what a dude. And he's doing this all up in the Undertaker's face. It doesn't end well for Goldust.
No.
But yeah, that is essentially our build-up to WWF In Your House 8, Beware of Dog 2. Just quickly, the weird title, WWF In Your House 8, Beware of Dog 2. Obviously, Beware of Dog is a weird one. I don't know what's going on there.
Oh, right. I thought that was going to...
No, I'm not quite sure why. The part I can explain is the 2 on there. This match...
Because they had one previously.
This match...
It's the second part. Go on.
Well, yeah, this match, this literal match, took place twice. In fact, all of the matches on this card took place twice because WWF In Your House 8 Beware of Dog 1 took place one day earlier, and there was a huge thunderstorm that knocked out a transformer. Not a transformer like Optimus Prime, like a transformer that controls the lighting.
Really?
And they did 3 matches in the dark, like literal dark matches, where the crowd couldn't see anything, and they were recording it all on battery-operated cameras. So there was Mark Mero versus Triple H, there was Savio Vega versus Stone Cold, and there was Goldust versus The Undertaker. And they basically cancelled the pay-per-view halfway through it because it was all taking place in a power outage.
Well, and all those people came back the next day to watch.
So, I don't know, is the answer. It seems like afterwards there was a slight apology from Vince McMahon on an episode of Raw where he basically says, contact your local cable provider, they'll probably refund you. And they decide to rehold In Your House in a new stadium and arena, which is crazy. But what's also mad is they redo all of the endings for these matches.
Oh, right.
In the original version of this match, never aired, Undertaker is attacked by 6 heels, which feels like how most of Undertaker's casket matches go, to be fair.
Set up his next 6 feuds.
But we move on to the match itself, and we start with a recap of Ahmed Johnson versus Goldust, and Goldust giving him mouth-to-mouth, and apparently this is all disgusting by 1990s standards.
Well, I suppose... I mean, Goldust is technically sexually assaulted Ahmed Johnson there while he's unconscious.
It definitely depends on the interpretation of what Goldust is trying to achieve.
He didn't actually need mouth to mouth, did he?
That we're aware of. I don't know. I'm not going.
Goldust just decided that he looked like he should have.
He was
mouth-to-mouth.
being carted out on a stretcher. And,
Yeah, but that doesn't. That's not like.
and
So next,
he does
okay.
wake up directly after Goldust administers this procedure.
Good point.
Well,
So
may have just been the shock, the gold, sparkly, glittery lipstick all over his mug.
Goldust may or may not assault a man before this match. We're not entirely sure, but the whole mouth-to-mouth thing was a flashback. No, that's not the word at all. Recap. Thank you, John. Goodness me. The whole Ahmed Johnson Goldust feud is a recap. Goldust makes his way out to the ring in weird frame rate and gold vision.
I was quite worried because obviously, you go onto the network, you select the pay-per-view, skip forward to the match or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, is this what this looks like? Why is it so grainy? Is this 20 years? Oh, okay, no, it's just the weird Goldust cinema, silver screen type thing.
It's so strange. But yeah, the Taker makes his entrance and he literally just does teleports into the ring.
Listen to the ovation for the most phenomenal athlete in the long, illustrious history of the World Wrestling Federation. There is absolutely no athlete quite like The Undertaker, who is right behind Goldust. Where did he come from?
It's done quite nicely with the way that it's done with camera-wise, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of camera work that has to go on in this match, as we're going to get to, and I'm really intrigued as to how they do it. And we'll discuss it, but I just don't know how we don't hear crowd pops for certain things happening, but including that, because there didn't seem to be much of a reaction, and then he was just there.
So the Taker appears in the ring and wipes out Goldust, and this whole match
hot start.
It is a hot start, and this match is pretty one-sided. There's quite a lot that goes on. It's quite a long match for what it is, but this is essentially 10 minutes of The Undertaker beating the crap out of Goldust.
Yeah, all of my notes are all Taker doing stuff.
Whenever Goldust fights back, the commentary absolutely shit all over him. Yeah,
he only fights back with really shitty moves like double axe handles and stuff like that.
He does. Well. Yeah. Don't let that appearance and bizarre behaviour fool you, though, because that is a Class A athlete. Spoken words by Vince McMahon himself. But yeah, basically, whenever Goldust is fighting back, it is real basic clotheslines, axe handles.
Well, even his classic slide uppercut thing doesn't connect, does it? No. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to or if he just missed it.
Doesn't. What I do love about this, though, is that Goldust lands what I'm going to dub the weakest looking tombstone pile driver of all
that's
time.
So weird that he even does that. I think it took me by surprise.
It's obviously not a Goldust move. I think kind of his whole thing of getting into his opponent's heads is maybe sometimes taking their moves. Because, yeah.
He tries to do the old school later on, doesn't he?
He does. In fact, this is kind of where it all goes wrong for him, because Goldust does fight back, and at one point loads Undertaker into the casket itself and looks like he's about to close it. But Undertaker, the consummate professional and master of the casket match, having done so many of them.
Yeah.
It's crazy how many of these matches I feel we've done on this Undertaking.
It feels like it's every Undertaking at the moment.
It does.
But he leaves his arm hanging out, doesn't he?
He does. He shoots his arm out in the nick of time, preventing Goldust from closing the casket on him.
Which is a good shot. It looks really great.
It does look really good.
Really good. And
it is coming like foreshortening straight into the camera almost. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
Goldust, keeping to character, kind of maneuvers himself on top of the casket in a way which kind of he's smothering his whole body across it.
Yeah.
And Taker just kind of powers out of it, opens the casket, launching Goldust onto the floor, which is a really good shot, really nice spot.
Destroying the lid of the casket, though. That's where the hinges get broken, some of the fabric is ripped. You see the referees, they have a referee either side of the casket there ready to close it or open it, and they're like, oh God, what do we do here? How are we going to cope with this?
I mean, surely they're used to this problem by now.
Well, yeah, shoddy workmanship once again.
I actually found it quite hard to pay attention to this match because Goldust's dick plays a big part in this match. I don't know whether it's his ring gear he was wearing, but it felt so prominent throughout this entire thing.
I actually didn't notice that.
No, I didn't.
I'm not just saying it.
Really?
But I did notice his arse.
Good
And I just thought he's quite a weird shape, and it's not very flattering. I mean, it's tough to wear that kind of outfit anyway, but I was noticing behind, you were noticing up front. Sam was noticing the whole package.
I think this is a fun match.
It is. Don't get me wrong, I really liked it.
Goes to the outside of the ring, and Undertaker goes to smash Goldust in the head with a steel chair, only for Goldust to counter with a sweet kick straight into Undertaker's face.
Yeah.
He downs him with a clothesline, he gets him into the ring, and he lands everyone's favourite move, the power slam.
Yeah, doesn't look as good as Randy's.
Not his best, but
he's up there as one of the greatest, isn't he? The greatest power slams in wrestling. But when you're doing it with the Undertaker, it really does not look
like
very good.
A fine wine. Goldust's power slams only got better with age.
Well, a lot of it's to do with the opponent, right? It's whether it's somebody who you can actually whip around.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Undertaker generally has a really good turn of speed on him. You would have thought that would have been
he's so big
moment, but it doesn't quite land. But Yeah,
Goldust's
Goldust
quite a big guy as well, though.
Goldust is surprisingly big, actually.
Yeah, he must be relatively similar in height, I'd have thought.
Yeah, but obviously if you're whipping round a shorter, lighter guy, it's going to look faster and better, perhaps.
I just don't think it lands quite as well as it should do. But
no, it doesn't.
Goldust mounts the turnbuckle, not in that way.
Mounts the turnbuckle.
Yeah.
I've never heard commentators say that before.
Feels like they should have with him. Lands a top rope clothesline and does my favourite thing in a casket match, which is he pins the Undertaker.
He does his own 3
Yeah,
count.
does gets the 3.
And then wonders why he hasn't won the match and is like waiting for the pin, and then it dawns on him he can't pin the Undertaker in a casket match.
Stupid prick.
Idiot. And so Goldust decides to double down on bad decisions and goes for an old school. And Undertaker just chucks him off the top rope.
And the wonderful thing about this is Goldust keeping hold of the glove of the gauntlet, which comes off Undertaker's hand. And
Love
then he has
it.
to grab and put it back on.
Absolutely love it. Taker scoops up Goldust and tombstones him and goes to launch him into the casket when
Well, before we get to this big reveal and a fantastic moment, there's the casket cam. We have to remind the listeners that there is another casket cam here.
Inside the casket, was there?
Yeah, there was.
There was a beautiful shot of when Taker got out the casket the first time, and then it shows the referees closing it again, and you go to blackness, and then it cuts back to the ring. But yeah, I just thought, it's important that the listeners get a real feel for the audio-visual presentation we were getting.
We see a lot of casket cam. We see a lot of kind of loading each other into the casket in this match, and a lot of kind of opening and closing the casket, which is why what happens next is perhaps the most shocking moment in wrestling history.
This one is over. Folks, this is it. The Undertaker will be the next Intercontinental Champion. Open up that casket. Formality now. Goldust is out of it. What is that? Good God! That's Mankind! Mankind! He was out. He getting it. What? How? Mankind with a mandible claw. Mankind with a claw. On the Undertaker. The Undertaker's out. The Undertaker is out. They're ringing a bell. Goldust the winner.
Guys,
Holy shit!
it is my favourite wrestler of all time.
It was so good. I was
Very cool.
Did you know this was going to happen, John?
No idea.
No, me either. I love it that Sam kept this from us because, when he first gave us 2 matches to watch, I was thinking, I thought we might get 3 or there'd be other stuff to watch. But this is why. He wanted to keep us in suspense.
Normally, we have like a pre-podcast kind of like planning around things to watch and sort of build up, and this Undertaking I've been particularly coy with the amount of stuff that we've gone through because I didn't want to spoil the surprise that this is Mankind's, it's not actually his debut, but it's his big moment. And so leading up to this match, Undertaker had been absolutely hounded by both Goldust and Mankind. Goldust at one point, Mankind loading Undertaker into the coffin at one point in the build-up and then smashing the coffin up with a steel pipe. It's so sick. But yeah, Mankind comes out of the coffin, locks in the mandible claw, loads Taker into the casket, and the match is over. And guys, Goldust holds a legitimate casket match victory over the Undertaker.
Yeah, I guess he does. His first
Retains the title.
Taker's first casket loss, right?
No.
Oh,
We had that weird one versus, was it Kamala? Or the one where he ascended off into heaven after basically the entire heel faction of WWF attacked him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, Undertaker is not as successful in casket matches as you would think he should be. But yeah, Mankind...
Bearer starts losing his shit, doesn't he?
Yeah. Mankind locks the coffin and Goldust and Mankind make out like bandits. Hold on. No, that's not how... Mankind and Goldust and Marlena get away with Undertaker locked in the casket. Disaster. And Paul Bearer eventually gets this casket open after smoke starts appearing from it.
A lot of smoke.
A heck of a lot of smoke. And it's empty.
I have no idea. I have no idea what
They better
is going
get him
on
out of
here.
there is what they better do.
They better try to get this darn thing open. I mean, this is... Wait, now he's gone. The Undertaker's gone. Where is the Undertaker? He's gone.
And that's it. And shall we go to the scoring?
Ooh.
I absolutely love this ending because A, I can't wait to see what happens with Mankind, but B, where's Undertaker?
Yeah.
Right?
And the
Where's
thing is,
Taker?
we're not going to know, John. We're going to get given a couple of matches to watch, and we're going to watch those matches before the next Undertaking. We still won't know what happened to him until we get on the pod and Sam tells us. Fills in those blanks. Anyway, yeah, should we rate it?
Okay, Adam, what do you reckon? Match and Taker.
Match 3.5, which is probably maybe my highest score so far, I think, for an Undertaking match. I really enjoyed it. Didn't think the level of wrestling was necessarily that amazing, but there was just some stuff happening, you know. There was some moments and a great ending, and then Taker can have another 3.
Sam.
I think, 3.5 for the match. Absolutely love Goldust, love the ending, love everything
Half
about
a star.
Do you know
below
what?
the
Yeah,
Diesel
no.
match.
Let's pump that up. Let's say 4.5 for the match.
4.5. Good
A
lord.
whole point up. 4.5.
Is that not happy? Is that not okay?
Well, no. I was just pointing out that you gave the Diesel match half a
Yeah,
star
no, at
more
first
than
I
you were
thought-
giving this match.
At first I thought 3.5 seemed like a fair score, but then I thought, you know what? This match has got my favourite wrestler of all time, with Mankind. It's got Goldust in it. It's a really entertaining match. There's a lot going on. Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
it's such a
4.5.
big jump.
It's
It's like me going,
It feels
oh,
right.
Dad, can I have some pocket money? Yeah, I'll give you a tenner. Oh, but that's interesting. You gave me 15 quid last week. Yeah, no, you're right. Here's 100 quid.
Well,
Yeah,
not
no,
quite.
that's exactly what it's like. I'm unpredictable, just like Goldust. Deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm going to give Undertaker 3.5.
That was a terrible example.
I'm going to give the match a 4, and I will give Taker 3.
Good.
So that gives the match an average score of 4, and Taker 3.16667.
What an amazing match. I absolutely love it.
Good match. Very fun.
Yeah.
And with
Good.
the bizarre one successful and The Undertaker being on the receiving end of a Mick Foley beating, it's only fitting that this would be the first meeting of two wrestlers who would go on to define a generation, leading up to what would arguably become the most iconic moment in wrestling history. Of course,
Ooh.
we're still a couple of years away from that legendary Hell in a Cell match. But the first shots were fired in that war, and Undertaker would be now looking for revenge. But that is a story for another Undertaking.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam, once again. And what another brilliant episode of The Undertaking. I bloody love it. I love it. I can't wait. We need to do another one soon. And we will, most likely. But our next podcast, before we get back to The Undertaking, will be a pay-per-view review, or as WWE are calling them now, featured.
Premium?
Premium.
Yeah, that's what they are on the network, isn't it? Premium.
Fucking annoying. I was on the network the other day. I was like, where are the pay-per-views? And it's premium. I mean, okay, you don't pay per view anymore, but it's just classic. Just, you know, that's the lingo. Anyway, we will be watching an AEW pay-per-view where it is still a pay-per-view, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
AEW Revolution, which
I'm
is
looking
very,
forward to that.
very exciting.
Oh, MJF and Punk, the build for that. Oh, mama.
Oh, so good. John, if people want to get in touch in the meantime.
So they can email us at hardestpartofthering@gmail.com, or they can find us on social media at hardestpartpod.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for listening, everybody. Thank you, Sam, once again. That was fantastic. I love all your extra notes and
Thank
the
you.
clips and all that good stuff. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Brett has told us that he's clearing the decks so he can watch AEW Revolution and be back with us. So we'll see him then. We'll see you then too, John.
Yeah, definitely. Can't wait.
And I will see you all then as well. That was the hardest part of the ring.